Pharmacy prices for prescription drugs have dropped by 1%, the first such drop since the 1970s, according to the Department of Health and Human Services. Still, the AARP says New Jersey residents pay among the highest drug prices in the world. The House of Representatives has scheduled a showdown vote next week on a bill that would allow Medicare to negotiate price cuts for prescriptions, and bills here in the State House would give insurance customers better benefits. But right now, there are people here forced to choose between their meals and their medications. Here's Michael Hill.
How are pharmaceuticals and new drugs going to help you if you can't afford them?
Lenore Ledoux says she made incredible sacrifices when she became her fixed-income mother's primary caregiver and paid out of pocket for some of her mother's 7 prescriptions.
It forced me to go into bankruptcy. I lost my house, and for the last 8 years that I took care of my mother, I went for 8 winters with no heat, no electricity, and no gas.
And being now retired and living on what is known as the fixed income, it makes it very difficult when you're starting to pay for drugs that cost hundreds of dollars a month. My wife and I take 22 prescriptions every month.
Gary Weiner says that adds up to $1,000 a month. To compensate, he'll cut back on buying prescriptions or reduce dosages.
It hasn't helped my health. It's made my health slightly worse over the time that I do that, when I do that.
Weiner and Ledoux want their stories to resonate with Big Pharma and Washington. Both urge Congress to approve and enact the Lower Drug Costs Now Act. It would, among other things, allow Medicare to negotiate drug prices directly with Big Pharma manufacturers. Congressman Frank Pallone is a co-sponsor.
I really want to stress that the status quo is simply unacceptable. Something needs to be done, and we're going to do it. The problem right now is that the drug companies basically charge whatever they want. And unless a drug has generic competition, which obviously we encourage, then, they basically do what they want and they have a monopoly.
The AARP is a big supporter of Congressman Frank Pallone's legislation. Early this year, it launched its own campaign.
The problem is drug companies set their own prices while spending billions each year on advertising and lobbying.
The AARP says it wants both Congress and state lawmakers to act to lower drug prices.
AARP is very passionate about this work. There is no reason why Americans should be paying more money than any other individual in any other country across the world. And that's currently what we're doing.
Big Pharma is pushing back, citing industry and independent analysis that showed the bill would cut company revenues by more than half, stifling research and development. One CEO says it would be destructive, and nearly 60 medicines will never be discovered if this bill becomes law. Lawmakers need to ask themselves which patients in their districts should be denied future cures and treatments. The White House supports lowering drug costs, but says the bill would threaten continued medical innovation that will harm American patients in ways that far outweigh any benefits. It all means Washington is preparing for a big battle as early as next week.
Things need to change, and this is one of the big areas that needs change, and it needs it right now.
It's an issue with me fearing that, someday if I get one more illness, it could be financial disaster for me.
Consumers say it's a fight they cannot afford to lose. Michael Hill, NJTV News.